What's up, football fans? Welcome back to my channel where I talk about anything and everything football related. Today I want to introduce a new series I think I'm going to call the Recruiting Recap, where I try and cover some of the key commitments that have happened throughout the week. I will still be doing my regular videos that I have been posting, but this way I can cover more commitments and cover more fan bases throughout college football. Obviously I won't be able to cover every commitment, but I'll try my best to talk about as many as I can. With that being said, let's start with the Stanford Cardinal remaining hot, landing another 7 commitments just this week. Hayden Gunter, Darius Davis, Naki Taukoi, Sam Mattingly, Kai Greer, and Dylan Stephenson all announced their commitments within 48 hours of each other. Dylan Stephenson and Naki Taukoi are 4-star edge rushers and the top recruits in this class so far. While both are ranked in the top 25 for their position, Stephenson is the only recruit Stanford has in the top 75 for the 2024 cycle. In the span of 2 weeks, Stanford has jumped from the 58th overall recruiting class into the top 12, passing up schools like USC, Florida State, and even Alabama. You can check out my video talking about the Stanford recruiting class right here if you want to learn more about the key names they still have their eyes on. Boston College flexed their recruiting muscles by landing 2 of the top wide receivers in North Texas this week. Both Keonde Henry and Josiah Martin announced their commitments to the Eagles after visiting this past weekend. Josiah Martin was the first to announce his decision Monday and chose Boston College over TCU in Alabama. Josiah is a 3-star wide receiver and plays for Texas powerhouse Denton Guyer High School. Keonde Henry announced his commitment the very next day over schools like Purdue, Vanderbilt, and more. Henry is a 4-star wide receiver for Lake Dallas High School, which is actually just a 7-minute drive away from where Josiah Martin plays. These two now headline the Eagles' 2024 recruiting class. Keonde Henry is actually one of the best recruits Boston College has been able to land in over a decade, so I know Jeff Hafley is excited to land his commitment. The Georgia Bulldogs were able to land yet another top defensive lineman with 4-star Jordan Thomas announcing his commitment. Coming in at 6'5", 296 pounds, Jordan Thomas is quite literally a huge commitment for the Bulldogs. He even reportedly weighed in well over 300 pounds when he last visited Georgia. The Bulldogs have been producing defensive talent at a historic rate, and Jordan cited that as one of the main reasons why he chose the Bulldogs, calling it a defensive line factory. Thomas is a number 1 player in New Jersey and the number 13 overall defensive lineman according to 24/7 Sports. He joins Justin Green and a bunch of other elite defensive prospects to make up the number 1 recruiting class in 2024. With their eyes still on names like Edric Houston, Ryan Wingo, and Jordan Ross, we could be looking at the best recruiting class of all time. 4-star tight end Walter Matthews announced his commitment to USC, becoming the Trojans' 7th commitment this month. Matthews is the number 7 overall tight end in the country and the 17th overall prospect in Georgia. He's taken unofficial visits to schools like Ohio State, Colorado, Michigan, and more, but after taking his official visit to USC, Matthews was more than ready to lock in his commitment. Lincoln Riley loved to use tight ends in his offense during his time at Oklahoma and is looking to carry that over to USC. After landing Deuce Robinson in the class of 2023, getting another talented tight end is big for this offense going forward. On Thursday, we saw a few big names announce their commitments. Just 2 days after taking his official visit to BYU, 4-star tight end Ryner Swanson announced his commitment to the Cougars Thursday evening. He chose the Cougs over schools like Oregon and Texas. Depending on where you look, he's one of the top 12 tight ends in the class of 2024. Swanson said after his visit to Oregon that he actually plans on playing 1 year of college football, then taking a 2-year admission trip, and then returning back to school. He also said that BYU has always been his dream school and is a place that his parents are extremely fond of. The Auburn Tigers remained hot by swooping in on 4-star linebacker Joseph Phillips, who's been trending towards Georgia over the past few weeks. According to Rivals.com, Phillips is one of the top 12 linebackers in the country and a top 10 prospect in the state of Alabama. He had already taken visits to Georgia and Tennessee, but took an unofficial visit to Auburn last Thursday and saw everything he needed to lock in his commitment. That visit was key, as Phillips said his relationship with Auburn's entire coaching staff was a big reason for his commitment. From the head coach to the assistants on the staff, everyone knew who Joseph Phillips was, and that made it obvious to just how important he was to the staff. 4-star cornerback Ondre Evans announced his commitment to the LSU Tigers. According to On3, Evans is a number 1 player in Tennessee and a top 100 recruit in the 2024 cycle. Obviously, LSU is known for producing NFL defensive backs year in and year out, which makes recruiting the position very easy. He joins an LSU class that is already stacked with defensive backs like Maurice Williams, Jashawn McBride, Juwan Johnson, and more. LSU has put a strong focus on bringing in some youth to the defensive back group to avoid needing to look through the transfer portal for their talent. One of the craziest stories from this week was Austin Simmons, a 2025 4-star quarterback, not only reclassifying into the class of 2023, graduating 2 years early, but he also flipped his commitment from Florida to Ole Miss. Austin Simmons was one of the top quarterbacks in the class of 2025 and had been committed to Florida since April. Simmons is also a standout on the baseball diamond and will be playing baseball for Ole Miss as well. It's been reported that Simmons can already throw a 97-mile-per-hour fastball, which is absurd. He will now be joining debatably the best quarterback room in the nation, with guys like Jackson Dart, Walker Howard, and Spencer Sanders already on campus. Damon Williams Jr. is a highly rated 4-star quarterback from the 2024 cycle that is also currently committed to Ole Miss. After ending the year with what looked like would only be one quarterback back returning next season, it looks like Lane Kiffin will not let that happen ever again. Florida Gators might have lost a key recruit for their 2025 class, but their 2024 class is looking strong as ever. After landing 4 big names on Saturday, the Gators recruiting class now sits at number 8 in the 2024 cycle. First to commit was 4-star tight end Amir Jackson. On3 currently has him as the number 10 tight end in the country and a top 25 prospect in the state of Georgia. Shortly after that, 4-star defensive lineman Amiris Williams and Nasir Johnson both announced their commitment to the Florida Gators. That gives Florida 2 of the top 20 defensive linemen in the 2024 recruiting cycle according to Rivals. And finally, late Saturday night, Aaron Shiles Jr. announced his commitment to the Florida Gators as well. This now gives Florida 3 of the top 6 linebackers in the 2024 cycle. He joins Miles Graham and Adarius Hayes, who have been committed to Florida for well over 6 months. They also join 5-stars Xavier Filsamy and DJ Lagway, who are both currently top 35 prospects in the country. Also Saturday night, 4-star athlete Boo Carter announced his commitment to the Tennessee Vols. He chose the Vols over schools like Colorado and Michigan. Carter is the number 1 prospect in Tennessee and a top 50 recruit in the 2024 recruiting cycle according to Rivals.com. Boo Carter was actually going to commit to the Vols during his junior season last fall, but decided to hold off and still explore his options. A few unofficial visits later, and Carter was sure on his decision to stay home. He said being able to play in front of his family and build a legacy as one of the top athletes in Tennessee state history led him to his commitment. This gives Tennessee their 5th in-state commitment and cracks them into the top 10 recruiting classes for the 2024 cycle. To wrap up everything, I wanted to mention 2 commitments from the 2025 class. Gideon Davidson and Blake Hebert both announced their commitments to the Clemson Tigers this week. After landing some of the top recruits in the 2024 recruiting cycle, it looks like Clemson is starting early with their 2025 cycle. Davidson is currently the number 3 running back in the class of 2025. He chose the Tigers over schools like Oregon, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and others. Hebert is the number 6 quarterback in the country according to On3 and holds offers from Michigan, Penn State, Auburn, and more. And that'll pretty much do it on my first ever recruiting recap. If you like this kind of content, be sure to leave a comment and like this video so I can make sure to make more of it in the future. And if you're a football addict like I am, you can check out some of my other videos right here. And be sure to subscribe for more football related content. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Until then, peace.